2024 is coming to an end. How the did I get here? Kicked open the portal doors in 1977. And in the early 80s, I learned art and love from my family and friends, while simultaneously locking the windows at night so the Night Stalker wouldn't murder us. And I would nuke non-nutritious foods filled with poison while watching Clubber Lang do pull-ups, and then eventually beat the shit out of my boy Rocky. Right then I knew anything was possible. I was filled to the gills with 7-Eleven microwave burritos and cheese-filled hot dogs, while praying for gamma ray radiation so I could be like David Banner and hopefully survive the nuclear holocaust that old Ron Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev were trying to throw upon us. I remember I even wrote a letter to Ron Reagan because of the horrifying news I got from my family that every night when we watched the news, we saw a bunch of nuclear missiles being marched across USSR. And I was like, what are those? Grandpa? Those are ICBM nuclear missiles, grandson. What's ICBM mean? Intercontinental ballistic missiles. And what they do is they can fly out into space and land over here from Russia and explode into a flash of light that will literally disintegrate your atoms and send you into oblivion. Why, Grandpa? Well, it's just politics. Good night, grandson. While I was shivering in bed of terror at the thought of a nuclear holocaust, the adults of the world were drinking booze and shooting steroids and snorting blow, having the time of their life, talking about feeding Ethiopian children that they saw on TV.
Yeah, tomorrow we'll donate for sure, honey.
Fear was my first motivator. The way to battle my fear was through Conan the Barbarian, Rambo, Commando, Transformers, G.I. Joe, Thundercats. Programming my brain to be in full battle form at all times. Anything I watched was about war. I was obsessed with it. I drew tanks and helicopters slaughtering each other. See, the programming of fear leads to the building up of a calcified warrior brain. Brutal fist fighting and Pop Warner football with 10-year-olds that had beards like Eminem was the only place for a 9-year-old radiated warrior boy like me. The 1980s had the rarest of beings, too. The 1980s high-banged female. You could see them in the wild all day long or at the roller rink. These mystical creatures could devour you in seconds or have you dreaming about them all night long. And then add 40 ounces of malt liquor. And you have yourself a nice atomic, traumatic confetti party. Real demons and bullies slithered through the streets back then. I thought it the best way to build up a very strong defense mechanism by becoming a greater monster than the monsters that were out there. No Frederick von Krueger or Jason Voorhees of the streets was going to fucking intimidate me. So that's when I started working out. I wanted to get yoked. I wanted to be powerful. All in a physical way. So I say this in defense of all of the young men who developed a calcified super warrior ego back in the 1980s and 90s. To me, all of the street life and 40 drinking and fist fighting and crime was all a reflection of the inner traumatic monsters inside me. Luckily, I had sports. Luckily, I was able to funnel that through sports. And a lot of us beast men did. But, throughout the whole time, I was also cultivating aspects of spirit, just in very non-conventional circus clown ways. So I always had humor. So then the 90s hit with this tidal wave of super-powered, tank-driving, missile-shooting, masculine ego-horsing, for better or for worse. The programming was deep, and we hit the ground running. Luckily, we had sports to funnel all of this chaotic monstrosity energy. And if we weren't bashing each other to smithereens on the battlefield of sports, we were out in the streets competing, fist fighting, and just very hypersensitive to anybody wanting some. behavior snowballed. The adrenaline rushes were coming. We were leaping off rocks into the water, 50 feet in the air. We were speeding boats. We were speeding motorcycles. We were speeding trucks up hills. We got our hands on guns. We were the most rootinest, tootinest, gun shootingest bunch of heathens. All just reflection of that 1980s programming. Just an amalgamation stew of Ivan Drago, Kurt Russell, Bruce Lee, Lee Van Cleef, Clint Eastwood, Jean-Claude Van Damme, old Stevie Seagal. We must get stronger. We must battle more. Battle is the only thing that makes me feel alive. It's a balanced lifestyle, right? It is, right? And then, luckily sports kept us on track with at least exercising and exercising the demons within us. A lot of arrests, a lot of battles, a lot of bleeding, a lot of injuries, a lot of parents worrying sick, a lot of deli sandwich stacked trauma.
I'll have myself a trauma hoagie. I'll have 58 slices of trauma on top of with extra. Can I get the habanero trauma cheese and then toast that whole thing and I'll thank you.
You battle your way through the 90s. So many different scars and wounds and injuries. But if you made it to the 2000s, you're doing pretty damn good. We lost a lot of people. And a lot of people went away for a long time. But it didn't stop there. It bled over into the 2000s. More fear-mongering. Y2K. The banks are going to crash. Pull out all your bread. The banks are going to crash. We armed ourselves to the teeth in case war was breaking out in the streets. We always wanted to see parachutes coming in. Just a bunch of parachutes from some enemy coming in. We had Red Dawn syndrome. Pretty heavy duty. 2012 is going to be the end of the Mayan calendar, the death of us all. There was definitely a shift. Right around then, I started really diving into my whole spirithood. I put on my spirithood, my coyote spirithood. I cultivated my spirit. And mind you, I was drinking and doing drugs the whole time. But, the time off, then I got into plant medicines. I was slowly working my way into the health space. Started learning that we were truly being poisoned for quite a long time. And a lot of the issues I had with my body that were coming up were derivatives of all of this unhealthy crap that I was taking in. Food, all of the shit I was putting in my mind, all of the negative thoughts that I was perpetuating. So from the early 2000s to 2024, there's been tons of nightmares, my child. But somehow I'm here making this video. And if you are here watching, then you're one of the ones who's made it. So now we no longer have to nuke our food. We no longer have to drink 40s of malt liquor. All of the blow and the steroids continue. And I get it. All these things are fun. Playing with the old human avatar, making it swell, making it rageful, making it poisoned. So I think 2025 is the year we break the dark spell. So come with us to the year of 2025. We're coming in healthier. We're all part of this traumatic brew. And I feel like now that all of that trauma is now being strained and nothing but the good stuff's pouring out now into our little Yahe cups. So what I've taken from all of that trauma is a ton of wisdom. So I hope you're joining me in 2025 in straining all of the trauma and being your best self. I'll let all that good stuff pour out of you. Get rid of all of the waste products. We don't need it anymore. Not saying you have to quit anything, although you should. But you have to upgrade everything. So this year, come with us as we upgrade Let's find the real you. I think we went on a bender long enough. I think a 30-year bender is a good chunky bender. Don't you? So let's unroll the bills, put them back in the wallet, throw away all of the disgusting foods that you have been enjoying. Let's start eating high-quality foods. Let's revitalize our bodies for 2025. I'm doing it. I've been doing it for a minute. So get your plasmoid field right, so you can meet the other plasmoids that are flying all over the place and have something besides dirty shite to give them. You know what I'm saying? Get your plasmoids right. Strain the best you into a nice plasma brew so you can fly interdimensional.
Like and subscribe immediately.